unbelievable. Moving on to a team who has been also really good and have turned it round from last season. You know, Paunovic for at Chicago last season was trying to, you know, the year before, under Frank Yallop, and they'd had a little bit of they were going nowhere. Paunovic come in last season and made them tighter, but they still didn't have anything. David Accam up front, you know, was hit and miss. He's a real prodigious talent, but he's a bit hit and miss. But Paunovic was trying to get a way of playing, and he seemed to have it this year. And of course, they've had Dax McCarthy, who's a wonderful player, and Bastian Schweinsteiger. I mean, 2 goals and an assist already? And again at the weekend.
Oh, yeah, I mean,
you know, the opening goal.
Yeah, 2 goals and assists and a game-winning goal, technically, because that's how we count MLS game-winning goals, right? The first goal of the game, if they don't score, it's a game winner. So.
Yeah. It is a bit, yeah. But this one, again, this was on a knife edge. A red card for Javon Watson on 27 minutes. Because the Revs, New England Revolution, I've been impressed with them this season. You know, obviously they've got, when you look at them, they've got players like Lee Wynn. People who watch this show know how much I rate Lee Wynn. Got Kai Kamara, who's a player who can put the ball in the net on a regular basis. They've got Agudelo, who's another one who can score goals for fun. So they're well versed in the attacking areas. Certainly, the Revs started off okay this season. They really have, but you know, going down to 10 men against a midfield now that had also Janino back in there. I mean, you look at Chicago Fire. They've got a Cam. They've got Solignac now, Basti. You know, Dax McCarthy, Janino. There's a lot of players there now that make this side, I think, real contenders this year, certainly for the playoffs.
Yeah, I think I'm jumping on the bandwagon. You know, I mean, Nicholls looks a great signing too. Let's remember.
Yeah, I forgot Nicholls, the man who got the 2 goals, of course.
Yeah, Player of the Week, MLS Player of the Week, baby.
Yeah.
You know, they have a real chance, and I'm so pleased for this Chicago Fire fan base.
Yeah.
I'm pleased for you guys in Chicago because you guys deserve it more than anyone for the last couple of years that you guys have been struggling with this team, I tell you. You know, look, Schweinsteiger has shown his quality straight away. He is, and I think it benefits him, you know, and it's not a knock on MLS. It's still a very physical league, but I think the fact that it's just 1 notch down from Europe's elite leagues, just only 1, not 10, 1 notch, you know, which is not, it's okay to be just 1 notch down. There's plenty of leagues that are, you know, and I think that's going to suit him down to the ground and keep him healthy. I think that he would be effective in any of Europe's elite leagues, and I don't think that, you know, he's any more effective in this league as he would be in any other league. It's just the keeping him healthy, and that's what he's going to benefit from in MLS, and especially playing next to a guy like Dax McCarthy, who I rate as, you know, I can't believe he hasn't played more for the US men's national team. I have no idea why he's not playing. I'm always calling for him and Benny Feilhaber to play in the centre of that midfield because, in my opinion, they're the 2 best, or at least 2 of the best centre midfielders that they have, and that would give them great balance. And Dax McCarthy, you know, initially when I went to Chicago, I thought, wow. You know, and look, the Red Bulls are struggling without McCarthy on the road. They've lost 3 games. So, you know, he's a huge player for them. And now, I mean, David Accam, like we said before, he's always been sort of a good to very good player, but with the service that Schweinsteiger could produce for him, I think he could be an excellent player. He's another outlet for him. So we'll see. But yeah, like you say, I mean, they're sitting 3rd right now. I said let's not get carried away when they were 4th. And that's after they battered a New England Revolution team who pride themselves on being organised. Jay Heaps does very well with what he has at his disposal. Because we all know the Crafts don't really care. They don't really invest that much in the Revolution. They've been talking about soccer-specific stadium in Southie for the longest time. It's never going to happen. Or maybe, we'll see. There's rumours now, but we'll see. So we'll see. I mean, like you say, they've got Kai Kamara. The problem with the Revolution is their defense. You know, they didn't upgrade nothing. I mean, they have Chris Tierney, who's a great player, and like you say, Javon Watson too, who can sometimes, you know, he's a very versatile player. But they had that Sambinha last year, which is god awful. He was terrible. And then, you know, you've got Jose Gonçalves, who's been a steady player in this league, but they really need an upgrade back there. Again, they're just one of these teams that sort of find ways to grind out results. And if I trust Jay Heaps, and they have all the firepower, like you were saying. So we'll see how they do, but they were well beaten by Chicago after that sending off. So
yeah, most definitely. A team you mentioned there, New York Red Bulls, they were at home to DC United, won 2-0. Bradley Wright-Phillips again on the score sheet, unsurprisingly, such a clinical finisher in MLS. Alex Mule give them the lead with a header. Bill Hamid, a goalkeeper I rate quite highly, but I feel as though he could have done better with this header. It kind of slipped under him. But, you know, Red Bulls are strong at home, aren't they? And they're always in the playoffs, aren't they? Always in the mix for the Supporters' Shield. So, you know, again, you know, Jesse Marsh's team at home, solid, good win. And on we go.
Yeah, I mean, I'll be honest with you. After the loss to Montreal at Red Bull Arena last year, I really thought that this could be it for Jesse Marsh. I mean, I know he's won the Supporters' Shield with them, and they're very close, and they've been very good. But when it comes to the playoffs, they're just not there.
Yeah.
And you were seeing the signs of this decline a little while, sort of into the late sort of parts of last season. Certainly in the playoffs, I mean, they were well beaten by the Montreal Impact, even at home. Piatti just run them ragged. So, look, we'll see. Look, do I expect them to be in the playoffs? Yes, I do. Do I expect them to compete for the Supporters' Shield? No, I don't. I really don't this year. I think that the East has become... We always used to talk about the West as the really strong conference in this league. It's not the case now. The East is just as strong as the West now. We've got a lot of really great teams, a lot of great competition in both conferences. And, you know, I mean, nobody could have foreseen Atlanta United being quite as good quite this quickly, I don't think, even with all that they did and how they built. And we can talk about how they got it right straight away. But there's a lot of teams that can challenge them now. The Chicago Fire, again, you know, they've look. I think they've lost one of their last 16 home games, and they're putting stuff together. Columbus Crew, always a good team. Orlando City, a great team. And New England Revolution can take points from them. So they're not the big dogs anymore. They're not the big dogs. They can't just rely on Sean Wright-Phillips, Bradley Wright-Phillips anymore. They certainly can't rely on Sean Wright-Phillips because he's playing for Phoenix Rising in the USL. But yeah, we'll see. I mean, I think that this might be Jesse Marsh's last shot, to be honest, to win an MLS Cup and to get, or at least with the Red Bulls. At least with the Red Bulls. Yeah. I know that you know, a lot of fans are a little bit frustrated with him right now. They've got a -2 goal difference. The only team who's in the playoff positions that doesn't have a positive one.
Right. And obviously, I suppose, as well as New York City do there, the spotlight then is reflected back on the Red Bulls to, I suppose, do even better. Columbus Crew top in the Eastern Conference now. They've beaten Toronto 2-1. Went behind Josie Altidore with a header. Ola Kamara, another Kamara scoring for them regularly now. And Merriman getting the winner there. A great win for the Crew. Start, like you say, top in the Eastern, started really well. But just Toronto, Giovinco, 1 goal in his opening 5 games. This is a player that had 39 goals and 31 assists in his first 2 seasons. This year, just hasn't really got going. I mean, it's Toronto's first defeat, but in 6 games they've only won 1 as well. So, you know, it's been draws, hasn't it, for them?
Yeah, it's tough. I mean, and when a guy, I mean, listen to those stats that you just produced there. 39 goals, 31 assists. So he's been involved in 70 goals over the last 2 seasons for Toronto. When you miss that guy scoring those goals, you know, that's a problem. Yeah. You're going to miss that. And look, and in Giovinco's defence, you know, he was hurt at the beginning of the season a little bit, and he's been carrying niggly knocks. He's like Hazard in the Premier League. He gets kicked everywhere he goes, you know, and that's the only way that people can play against him. And he gets hurt. I mean, I remember watching him play at the New England Revolution. All they did was kick him the whole game, and then he went off at half-time because he was hurt. You can't rely on Josie Altidore to win your games. I'm sorry, you can't. Not on his own. Not without Giovinco being on top form. So we'll see. Look, they've still got a great side, and I still think that they are one of the best in MLS. And Giovinco will kick on. We know he'll kick on at some point, you know. But look, maybe we can give him a pass for a little while, given that he's scored, you know, been involved in 70 goals over the last 2 seasons. But they've lost Joe Bendick, their goalkeeper, as well. You know, I know they've replaced him well, but still, that's still a loss. And I think Will Johnson, you know, I can't believe that they would get rid of a player like that, to be quite honest with you, to be quite frank. I think that hurts them in midfield, regardless of whether he played every game or not. So it's tough. But on the other side of the ball, Columbus is having a great season. I mean, Will Trapp might be having the season of his life. He's actually completing, and this is a stat from Up to Jack, he's completing an average of 72 passes per game this season, which is 5 more than any other player in MLS. I mean, on average, a game to average 5 passes more than everybody else a game is huge. And even you mentioned the guy, Justin Meram. You know, I mean, he's having maybe the season of his life. Now, he's actually scoring about 66% of his shots, 2/3. So maybe it's not sustainable. But look, these are the kind of things that you need to put together to have a winning season. We know that they can have winning seasons. We know that they got to MLS Cup not long ago now. They're no joke, they're no joke. So I don't think it's a bad loss for Toronto. Honestly, we talk about bad losses and good losses all the time. This ain't a bad loss for them.
No, not at all. A team close to your heart, Houston Dynamo, they threw away a 2-goal lead against I have to say, the improving Minnesota. I watched this game. It was late.
They are improving.
I watched it. Adrian Heath is my boiled idol, so I've now got a little bit of an affinity for Minnesota. I am Orlando City, but I'm looking out for Minnesota. Even though Dynamo were 2 up in this, Ramirez for Minnesota in the first half could have had himself 2 goals. He missed 2 absolute sitters, but the thing that's letting Minnesota down, if we can just look at them very quickly, is the marking off set plays, and it was 2 set plays that undone them again. And that's basic, right?
They are. Oh yeah, they are woeful in defence, and they've actually conceded 13 more goals than the next worst team for conceding goals, which conversely is the Dynamo. So they both shipped goals.
Yeah.
They both shipped goals. 24 goals conceded already. I mean, look, but the flip side to this is I think they scored the 4th most goals in MLS. So if they can sort that balance out, they did look terrible. And it looked like the players didn't want to play for, old Adrian over there in Minnesota at first. But you're right, they've improved. They've turned it around. And Ramirez, I think he missed those 2 chances because he only likes scoring in the second half because he's got 4 of his 5 goals in the second half of games this season. Yeah, so... and that's tied for the most of any player in 2017. So, look, he comes up big. And there was a lot of hype around Christian Ramirez, remember? When he was in NASL, everyone said, I'd love to see him in MLS. Where's he going to go? And then Minnesota gets, not promoted, but, they join MLS. And I don't think that he's disappointed people. Not at all. I think he's a great player. And maybe might sound like a strange thing to say, but maybe he has a chip for Minnesota to flick to somebody else who doesn't have a lot of strikers in depth to get a lot of players, to get some good defenders and a decent striker too, but then you lose the goal. So it's tough. They're going to have to do something. It's a transitional season for them. If they carry on the way they're going now, I don't expect them to finish as the worst team in MLS. I expect the Philadelphia Union to.
Oof, big caller. Quickly on Houston, being good at home.
Yep.
So this was a game they were comfortably winning. Obviously, they've had a change as well. What can they achieve this season?
Look, I mean, when I got to Houston, and I was there for the unveiling of Dynamo 2.0, and this is how we're doing things now, and Owen Coyle is our coach, but Dynamo 2.0, that kind of thing. And look, they're another team that they understand the value of promoting from within, like Dallas. Maybe it's a Texas thing. I don't know. And I actually asked because I thought the no-brainer would be Jason Christ. There was a conference call with Matt Jordan back when they were when they sacked Coyle and they were looking for a new manager. And I said, "Are you going to go after Christ?" And he said, "Well, we got a guy in mind, and that guy was Wilmer Cabrera." He didn't rule him out, and I think that was the big giveaway that they would bring him in. And look, he's got them playing some fantastic football. Yeah. He has gotten in these players that not only resonate with the Dynamo, but resonate with the community down there. It's a heavy Latin community down there, and they love their sports, they love their soccer, and I'll be honest, because there wasn't that many sort of Latin players in the team at the time, and that didn't resonate well with the community, and they've got everything right now. They reach out very well, and look, everybody said the playoffs are painted orange. They're painted orange. We're always in. Well, let's see if you can get in this year and make some noise, man. Let's do it because they're playing good football, and Kubo's scoring again, which is brilliant for him. On a personal level, it's brilliant for him as well. I'm so glad to see him back out of this funk that he's been in, given his legal trouble over the last sort of couple of years or so. So that's nice. And remember, this is without Ramel Kyoto, who before getting injured, again, another guy like Joseph Martinez, had 3 goals in 3 games. So look, there's still good things to come from this Dynamo team, and I'm very pleased at seeing them doing much better again now. Yeah,
excellent. Colorado Rapids 1, Real Salt Lake 2. Mike Pecky and still unbeaten, haven't come back in to Real Salt Lake. Kevin Doyle put the Rapids one up with a trademark header, as Doyle does. He's done quite well in Colorado, to be fair to him. But then this turned in the last 6 or 7 minutes on a penalty, which I've seen people arguing whether it was a penalty. It was a handball when the ball was going into the net. Whether the lad's put his arms up to block, it's a penalty. You can't say it isn't.
No.
Movsisian pops it in, and then obviously Brooks Lennon scores an absolute screamer. Would Tim Howard have saved it? We don't know, but he potentially needs to stop using expletives to supporters behind the goal, and then he wouldn't be banned. But a big win for El Salt Lake. Colorado Rapids, of course, unbelievable at home last season, so a big win, their first loss at home this season.
Yeah, and with the Tim Howard situation, I think it's less about the language and more about the physical altercation of that side of apparently there was a physical altercation in the tunnel. I think that's probably 2 of the 3 games, if you know what I mean. I don't think that it's acceptable to use that kind of language. And look, we can talk about, Timmy Howard has Tourette's, we all know this. How much of that played into it, I don't know, because he's very, very high functioning with it, okay? He's not, it doesn't rule his life, and that's because of soccer, and he'll tell you that. And look, but I don't know how much of that filter is gone because of it. So if someone gives him, a round of Fs, let's say, and they're effing and jeffing at him, all that kind of thing. So, and there's kids in the stands, and that's a problem in America. It's a cultural thing. There's not a lot of swearing and stuff. So it was surprising to hear the fans saying that. But if you need to police that too. Players don't deserve that kind of abuse. And not that I'm advocating him giving it back, but it's understandable. It's the physical element that I can't get on board with. And look, maybe Tim Howard would have saved that shot because, since signing with the Rapids, he's conceded 5 goals in 10 home games. 5 goals in 10 home games. They shipped 2. So what does that tell you? And I'm surprised that Salt Lake was able to score 2 goals in Colorado, regardless of whether they're there or not, because you say they're a great team at home. And Salt Lake, frankly, doesn't have a dearth of attacking talent there right now. In fact, I think behind Ura is maybe Chandler Hoffman, who's playing in Real Monarchs right now. I don't even know. I don't even know who their second backup striker is because Chad Barrett's out.
Yao Plata, he was one last season. He was really good, but I watched them. I watched Minnesota beat them 4-1 the other week, and Plata came off the bench with about 25 minutes left. I don't know whether I can't remember if he picked up an injury or not, but he's really gone off the boil. He was hot for a while. But like you say, they don't look like they've got many goals in them, and when you haven't got many goals in you, it's a problem, isn't it?
Yeah, especially in MLS because of how predictable and finely balanced it is.
Exactly. The final game of the week, and probably the biggest game of the week, would argue, was Portland Timbers 0 Sporting Kansas City 1, first v second now in the Western Conference. Sporting managed the shutout. Timbers had scored in every game until this one. And it was, again, another Englishman, Dom Dwyer, he's now obviously qualified to play for...
I was going to say, he might be an American before we know it, so we'll see.
But he scored last week against Colorado, and he's come up big this week. And it was a really, really good goal, to be fair, a close-range header, but the move was brilliant. But Sporting Kansas City still unbeaten this season.
Yeah. Well, they're one of those teams. They've always been there or thereabouts in the league. They have great players in Zusi and Beasler and Dwyer, and in Iko Power as well, who excuse me, he might end up. Not Opera. Opara, who might be an outside candidate for MVP. He was playing very well until he got really badly injured a couple seasons ago. So I'm interested to see how that goes. Now. Look, Dom Dwyer he's an enigma, isn't he? Because he's weird in that he came up and he scored a lot of goals, and then he actually played down a level for a while, and then he was coming off the bench, and it wasn't. But it seems like he's putting it all back together again. I don't know what was going on with him, but look, he's a guy that you have to watch out for in every single game. Yeah. And that's their strength, is that they have strengths all over the pitch. They're another team, kind of almost like Dallas in a way. I know that their DPs are the American guys, so they want to stay there. Let's be honest. So again, I always expect big things from Sporting Kansas City, and I really do think this is an incredible win for them, regardless of how good they are, because I just think the Portland Timbers are that good. Still first. I know it's 2 losses now, But still, I expect big things from Portland. I really do. So it's a huge result for Sporting Kansas City.
Yeah, I mean, Nagby's hit the bar. Melia, incredible performance again. He's had 4 shutouts in 6 games, which kind of tells you why Sporting Kansas City are where they are, because they haven't scored a lot of goals this time out, but I think they've only conceded 2, is it? It's either 2 or 3 goals, so incredible.
Yeah,
incredible.
They've conceded 2 goals, but they've only scored 6. So it's they have to figure that out too. But yeah, you're right. I mean, that is, in fact, I'll just check, but I think it's the lowest. Yeah, it's the lowest in MLS for goals against. Followed by very closely FC Dallas with 3. So
there you go. Well, it was the Timbers' first home defeat since July 2016. When Galaxy beat them, and it was Sporting Kansas City's first away win since September. So I suppose something had to give, and it gave. But yeah, a massive win for Sporting Kansas City in what was a very exciting week 7. Scott, a massive thank you for joining me. Your knowledge is brilliant. Try and get you on every single week and make you part of the show. We'll see.
That's great.
If we can.
Hey,
get you.
I'd love that. You
My
tell
guys
me when
will
and
talk to
where,
your
and I'm always
guys.
there, buddy. You know that.
My guys will talk to your guys, and we'll see how we go. A huge thank you to Scott for joining me on the MLS Show. Don't forget to leave all of your comments in the section below. Any questions to Scott or anything you want to pick us up on, that is fine by me. And a big thank you again, like you say, to Scott.
Thank you very much. I really appreciate it. It's been a wonderful time. Yeah, I'm free anytime you want me. So thank you.
Cheers, Scott. Thanks very much, and I will see you soon on the MLS Show.
Last couple of years that you guys have been struggling with this team, I tell you. Look, Schweinsteiger has shown his quality straight away. He is, and I think it benefits him. And it's not a knock on MLS. It's still a very physical league, but I think the fact that it's just one notch down from Europe's elite leagues, just only one, not 10, one notch. Which is not. It's okay to be just one notch down. There's plenty of leagues that are. And I think that's going to suit him down to the ground and keep him healthy. I think that he would be effective in any of Europe's elite leagues, and I don't think that
Moving on to a team who has been also really good and have turned it round from last season. Panovich at Chicago last season was trying to, the year before under Frank Yallop, and they'd had a little bit of they were going nowhere. Panovich come in last season and made them tighter, but they still didn't have anything. David Accam up front, was hit and miss. He's a real prodigious talent, but he's a bit hit and miss. But Panovich was trying to get a way of playing, and he seemed to. Obviously they've got, when you look at them, they've got players like Lee Wynn. People who watch this show know how much I rate Lee Wynn. Got Kai Kamara, who's a player who can put the ball in the net on a regular basis. They've got Agudelo, who's another one who can score goals for fun. So they're well versed in the attacking areas. Certainly, the Revs started off okay this season. They really have, but going down to 10 men against a midfield now that had also Janino back in there. I mean, you look at Chicago Fire. They've got a Cam, they've got Solignac now, Basti, David this year, and of course they've added Dax McCarthy, who's a wonderful player, and Basti and Schweinsteiger. I mean, 2 goals and an assist already, and again at the weekend.
Oh yeah, I mean,
the opening goal.
Yeah, 2 goals and assists, and a game-winning goal technically, because that's how we count MLS game-winning goals, right? The first goal of the game, if they don't score, it's a game winner. So.
Yeah. It is a bit, but this one again, this was on a knife edge. A red card for Javon Watson on 27 minutes. Because the Revs, New England Revolution, I've been impressed with them this season. McCarthy, Janino. There's a lot of players there now that make this side, I think, real contenders this year, certainly for the playoffs.
Yeah, I think I'm jumping on the bandwagon. I mean, Nicholls looks a great signing too. Let's remember.
Yeah, I forgot Nicholls, the man who got the 2 goals, of course.
Yeah, Player of the Week, MLS Player of the Week, baby. Yeah. They have a real chance, and I'm so pleased for this Chicago Fire fan base.
Yeah.
I'm pleased for you guys in Chicago, because you guys deserve it more than anyone.